Let's talk to Alex in Kentucky.
All right.
Alex, you're live with Eric and V. What would you like to talk about?
I was just thinking about, if, you know how you retrace your footsteps, like you walk into a room and you lay something down, like say on a table, and you say, well, I forgot where I laid that at. You know, you walk out of the room, you say, I forgot where I laid that at. And you retrace your footsteps and you go back to find where that phone is at.
I had that the other day.
Yeah.
It drove me nuts.
Mm-hmm. My mom used to offer us change, like, I'll give you 25 cents if you can find my coffee mug, because I lost it.
Yeah.
Thank you. So couldn't you kind of like do the same thing with God? Couldn't you say, hey, how is God, like if God is real, like if I left that thing in that room, how can I find it? You get what I'm saying? Hold on.
True. But here's the thing: is do you think that God is a tangible thing like a coffee mug or a set of keys or a remote control?
He's way more than that. He's way more than the mug. So it would be just as likely to find him. But he's just as real as that. You get what I'm saying? He's more real though. So he would be even.
I think more real is kind of a weird word that I don't think means anything. I think there's either real or not real. But let's look at the God concept first. So you're saying that God's real and it's tangible. So what does God look like? Maybe I just don't know that God's sitting on my couch.
Nobody's ever seen the spirit of God, you know, his face, but people have seen Jesus, which is the image of God. And we're all made in the image of God.
Jesus in the other room. Hold on, let me.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen my cup. I know what my cup looks like. Coffee mug.
Right. The thing that I think Eric is getting to, and where I'm kind of getting hung up is, I can say, oh, I left my coffee mug in the other room. I need to remember where it is. But that depends on me having had the coffee mug in the first place.
Yeah.
To sit down and lose.
Where did you put your Jesus?
Right, exactly. Where did I put the face of God? I don't think I had it before. So why would it be a backtrack kind of situation for me?
And
okay, so
like, was it? Can you put him in your back pocket? What's the?
We believe in sight. Sight is what makes the world go around, right? Sight. Wouldn't you say that because you can't see God? That's what you just said, that you can't see God, so he is not real, right? So
no, we were going with your example.
Right.
You were going with examples that we can touch, that we can feel, that we can examine and see and interact with. But those don't seem to be qualities of the God that you're talking about. So I don't know how your analogy works.
Right.
I examine if God is real through the Holy Spirit. And the evidence of the Holy Spirit would be speaking in tongues. Right?
Okay, hold on a second.
Would that be the
well, hold on. Yeah. So let me give you. So that's just a claim that is really interesting. So let me give you a counterexample. Alex, I think I'm God through my mojo, and through my mojo, that is the proof of it. So now, do you believe that I am a deity or that I'm a God?
The evidence of speaking in tongues, which means that I've received the Holy Spirit.
Hold on, Alex. Did you hear what I said?
What did you say?
Were you just waiting for your turn to talk?
I was waiting on you to tell me what you said because I was like not hearing what you said, I guess.
Okay, no worries. That's okay. I'm giving you a counterexample. So you said that you have evidence for God because of the Holy Spirit, right? And through the Holy Spirit, you're able to.
There's creation. If you do what I said, you never answered my question. If you go from retracing God the same way you retrace your footsteps, and you say, "Where did I leave that at?" Or if you say, "Hey, where is God at? Where is the evidence of God at?" and you go look for the evidence.
Oh, you think we haven't looked for the evidence?
Do you think we answered your question too? That entire conversation, talking about the mugs, talking about our experiences with that, talking about how there are tangible things, and all those are all answers to your question. We answered your question.
So because you can touch it is the only reason it would be real if you could touch God.
No, you're using examples of something you can touch to prove God, and we are saying we can't touch God. So your analogy doesn't work.
Give us a better analogy. Because, yeah.
A better analogy of God, okay? Well, retrace your footsteps, okay?
Okay.
And find something that you lost. That's
Okay.
what I'm doing with God.
Okay, so do you have to have had it in the first place to lose it?
Had to have had it in the first place?
Yeah.
No, you don't
So
have
can I lose a Ferrari that I never had? And can I retrace my footsteps to get back to my Ferrari?
That has nothing. You're not understanding what I'm saying.
No, listen and follow me, Alex, please. I do have a point, I promise. I never owned a Ferrari.
I understand.
Can I retrace my footprints and find my Ferrari?
That has nothing to do with it. That's another.
No, answer the question, please, Alex. We're going somewhere, and this isn't Alex's time to walk poor little Eric and V through your analogy. You are going to interact with us, or we're going to move on to the next caller. So,
all right. So
I've never owned a Ferrari. Can I retrace my footsteps back to and find my Ferrari?
I mean, there's a possibility that you could, yes.
Okay, so I can retrace my footsteps and find and get my Ferrari that I've never had back to me?
If you never had a Ferrari, why would you be trying to retrace your steps?
Exactly. We never had a God, so how would retracing our steps help?
If you think that there could be a Ferrari that you had, why would you think that there would be a Ferrari that you had if you didn't have one? That's not my point. My point is, if there's evidence, you're looking for evidence. You're saying, if there is evidence.
No, hold on. That's not how your analogy works.
Yeah.
Alex, I don't know if you see that the analogy you gave doesn't work. I just gave you a clear example, and your response is perfect. I agree with you. It is just also true for God.
To say, if I had a Ferrari, where would I have left it at?
Agreed.
If
So
I have evidence, we're not looking for a Ferrari. We're looking for evidence. If there's evidence that God does exist, could I go back through the Word and find out if God exists?
Why do you assume we haven't done that?
What?
Why do you assume that we haven't looked through the evidence that used to convince us and determine if it still does? That's what we did. That's how we became atheists.
No, not to determine if it still convinces you, to determine if God actually exists.
the ontological question of it, sure.
No one's ever proven it wrong. No one's ever proven it wrong.
What is it?
It's not
First, be clear about your claim. So it sounds like we are completely ditching your analogy, which is fine. Proven what wrong, Alex?
Like, what's the answer to that question? How do you prove that God's not true if you use the Bible? And people say you can't prove it if you use the Bible. Well, that's the only evidence that we have.
Can you prove that God is not true using the Bible? Is that your statement?
My statement is, if you want to know if God is real and you use the only evidence that's given and you go back through that evidence and you can't prove the evidence wrong, then you must believe that evidence until some better evidence comes along. That's
got it. So you will believe the thing until you can prove it wrong. So do you believe in Bigfoot?
You believe in a thing till you prove it wrong.
Yeah, I mean that's the process that you just gave out. So do you believe in Bigfoot? Yes or no?
I've never been talked to by Bigfoot. Bigfoot doesn't have a Bible.
Okay, hold on. Just a yes or no. That's all. Do you believe that Bigfoot exists?
He doesn't impact my life. No.
Don't care. Yes or no. Do you believe that Bigfoot exists?
No, I don't. But do you?
Okay, hold on. Stop. I'm glad you answered the question.
Mm-hmm.
No, you don't believe that Bigfoot exists. So we're using your process now, Alex. How did you prove that Bigfoot doesn't exist?
How did I prove it? I've never proven it before.
Okay, so why are you using that process when you're talking about God? You're saying it has to be proven false. No one's ever proven it false.
So
That's why you have to believe it. So you haven't proven Bigfoot false. Alex, you cannot listen with your mouth open.
But I
Thank
can't
you.
talk with my mouth open.
Exactly. So, and that would make this conversation useless. So please, let's take turns and be civil about this. When it comes to Bigfoot, you have said you do not believe that Bigfoot exists. Did you? You did not prove Bigfoot doesn't exist. So why are you using that for God? You're saying God, nobody's proven God doesn't exist, so you have to believe. Okay, nobody's proven Bigfoot doesn't exist, so you have to believe. I'm using the exact same reasoning, but you're coming to two different conclusions, and I don't know why.
No, what I'm saying is, does Bigfoot exist? Let's examine that. Does Bigfoot exist? Where is his proof? Where's the evidence that Bigfoot exists? It's not in a picture. You know, that's not for God, right? Like, we don't say God is in a picture, so we believe him because he's in a picture.
I agree. I think we need better evidence for both of them.
No, we have all the evidence we need.
Well, for Bigfoot or for God?
You don't want to see it,
I guarantee you there are websites and websites dedicated to Bigfoot.
You know, I'm right. That's why you're trying to use all these analogies on me, so that you can sound right. But
well,
your analogies are my analogies. Like,
we're using yours. We're just thinking about them a little more, maybe.
No, I'm thinking thoroughly, but I'm not trying to argue. I'm trying to let you know that you still haven't answered my question. If we're trying to find Bigfoot, wouldn't we do the same thing? Wouldn't we go back and say, okay, where's the evidence for Bigfoot? Where's Bigfoot's evidence?
I'm pretty sure you haven't asked that question, but I'm happy to respond. We are going down a little bit of a rabbit trail here. Is this still the conversation that we're having about retracing your footsteps?
Yes, it is. How do you retrace Bigfoot's footsteps? How do you find Bigfoot in the evidence? Where's the evidence?
I agree. I don't think there is any. So let's take this entire viewpoint and flip it on its head, because I think it's a little better that way. How about the time to believe something is when you have evidence for it? That's when you believe a thing. Not evidence against, but evidence for. What do you think of that? Is that a good idea?
Evidence.
Can we be on board with that, Alex?
What is gravity?
Alex?
Tell me. Yes.
What did I just say?
What is gravity?
I did not say what is gravity. What did I just say?
What did you just say? I'm sorry, say it again. I'll let
Alex, there's a bit of a listening issue here. So what if we turn this on its head and we say the time to believe a thing is when there's evidence for it?
No.
Would you agree that that is a better way to look at things instead of there isn't evidence proving it wrong?
Oh, wow.
Right? When there's evidence for a thing, that's when you believe it.
All right. So where's the evidence for Bigfoot?
I don't think there's good evidence for it.
Yeah, we don't believe in Bigfoot,
That's why
just to be clear.
I do have evidence for God. You haven't told me that there's no evidence for God.
Well, so let's take a look. So I know that there are people who say that they have pictures of Bigfoot and then they have footprints that they've cast of Bigfoot. So it's up to us to analyze those things, right? So let's analyze what you are calling evidence for God. What evidence do you have?
I have the Bible.
Okay, so you have a bunch of stories written by mostly people who we have no idea who they are.
Right, we've looked at that evidence already. It didn't convince us.
Yeah, anonymous authors don't make for super convincing stories.
Yeah, sorry about that. What else do you got?
Okay, so you're saying that just because you don't know a person, that 100% they're lying.
No, that's not true.
No.
But I will be skeptical about weird claims. So I don't need to know you, right? Call Alex. I don't know you. I don't know what you had for breakfast. But if you tell me, I'll believe you. Sure. But if you say something miraculous, then I'm gonna need a lot more evidence for that. So when it comes to benign claims about made by unknown authors, this place existed. Okay, fine. This person went to this place. Okay, fine. Their name was this. Okay, whatever. They walked on water. Okay, now we should probably take a more skeptical eye at that.
And then add on to that, they walked on water, and if you don't believe that, your eternal soul, which apparently is a thing, is in danger. then we really need some proof to back that up. Because if not only are we supposed to believe that this claim is true, but also that it's going to impact us today, right now, and adjust how we live our lives, that requires a whole lot more evidence than someone in a book said something once.
Okay, you talked and talked and talked, and okay, let's just say this: if you wanted to take, see y'all, that's what y'all are good at this. Y'all are good at this. Let me see.
We've practiced, but here's the thing. Here's the one that benefits you the most. Alex?
You rambled. Hello? Yeah, this is me. You rambled and made me forget my thought.
That's okay. Actually, that happens when you actively listen. I appreciate that you were actively listening. That meant that you were following along with the conversation more than you were just holding on to something.
You kept rambling and made me forget my thought.
Yeah, we answered your question, Alex. But here's the thing. You can be good at this too. You can watch this call back. And after you watch this call back, you can go, okay, here's where they were at. And you have an entire week. And if you don't want to call next week, you have weeks and weeks, as long as you want, to take your time, go through it, and come back.
Yeah.
Go through the call back, because I had something to say, and you never answered any of my questions. You just
answered every single one of your questions. No, hold on. That is not fair. We answered all of them.
We may not have answered them the way you wanted us to, but we answered them.
Oh, I got my thought. Can I? Okay.
I don't think he was even. Were you just killing time until you thought of it? Alex, this does not seem like a very charitable conversation on your side.
Oh my goodness! If you know that the Bible's not real, then have you examined every piece of evidence?
Yeah. So
have you examined every piece of evidence? You have.
Okay, Alex.
That was my thought. You've examined every piece of evidence that's in the Bible?
No worries. So we actually already answered a big piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember what our answer was when it comes to benign claims made by anonymous authors? Oh, he hung up. Well,
all right.
That was fun. That's okay. He can go back and watch.
Yes.